Evil always rushes in to fill the void created by the absence of good. The only thing that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. And unfortunately, that is what many good people choose to do. It is our lack of intense, disciplined activity that has allowed evil to flourish and good men to flounder. If life does not seem fair sometimes, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Imagine how different our world would be if we made a commitment right now to put into action all that we currently are, wherever we currently are, and with whatever we currently have. What if we all gave 100% to our jobs, our families, and our communities? What if starting right now we began to read the books, replace errors with disciplines, and associate with people who have stimulating ideas? What if starting right now we converted our dreams into plans and our plans into refined activities that would lead toward the achievement of our goals? What an incredible difference we could make. In no time at all, we would have evil on the run and good would be rushing in to recapture its rightful place. What a life we could then share with our families, a life filled with challenge, excitement, and achievement. And what an inheritance we could leave to the next generation, a wealth of virtue, integrity, and substance with which to build a whole new world. And all because we cared enough to do something with our lives and put our skills and talents to work, harnessing the vision of the future. Niagara Falls is one of the most breathtaking spectacles in the world. Every hour, thousands of tons of water flow along the Niagara River and cascade down several hundred feet of rock into the churning, raging waters below. Through man's ingenuity, the powerful force of this falling water has been harnessed and now provides an important energy source to hundreds of thousands of people. Our own dreams can be as breathtaking and powerful as this wonder of nature, but they must also be harnessed and converted into some form of energy if they are to have any value to ourselves and to the world around us. Otherwise, they will remain only as an exciting but untapped spectacle of the human imagination. We all say that we want to succeed, but sooner or later, our level of activity must equal our level of intent. Talking about achievement is one thing. Making it happen is something altogether different. Some people seem to take more joy in talking about success than they do in achieving it. It is as though their ritualistic chant about someday lulls them into a false sense of security, and all the things that they should be doing and could be doing on any given day never seem to get done. The consequences of this self-delusion have their own inevitable price. Sooner or later, the day will arrive when they will look back with regret at all of those things they could have done and meant to do but left undone. That is why we must push ourselves in the present to experience the milder pain of discipline. We will all experience one pain or the other, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But the difference is that the pain of discipline weighs only ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. Activity, the application of all that we know and all that we feel, combined with our desire to have more than what we have and become more than we are. Enterprise is better than ease. If we are involved in a project, how hard should we work at it? How much time should we put in? Our philosophy about activity and our attitude about hard work will affect the quality of our lives. What we decide about the rightful ratio of labor to rest will establish a certain work ethic. That work ethic, our attitude about the amount of labor we are willing to commit to future fortune, will determine how substantial or how meager that fortune turns out to be. Enterprise is always better than ease. Every time we choose to do less than we could, This error in judgment has an effect on our self-confidence. Repeated every day, we soon find ourselves not only doing less than we should, but also being less than we could. The accumulative effect of this error in judgment can be devastating. Fortunately, it is easy to reverse the process. Any day we choose, we can develop a new discipline of doing rather than neglecting. Every time we choose action over ease or labor over rest, we develop an increasing level of self-worth, self-respect, and self-confidence. It is how we feel about ourselves that provides the greatest reward from any activity. It is not what we get that makes us valuable. It is what we become in the process of doing that brings value into our lives. It is activity that converts human dreams into reality, and that conversion from idea into actuality gives us personal value that can come from no other source. Everything has its price and everything has its pain, but the price and the pain become easy when the promise becomes strong. For the means to be filled by intense activity, we must be obsessed by the ends, by the promise of the future. The ends will not merely justify the means. The inspiration we get from seeing the ends clearly in our minds will enable us to produce the means. Life cannot be a process of all work and no rest. It is important to set aside sufficient time to regain our strength, our concentration, our focus. The key is to develop a reasonable ratio of rest to activity. The Bible offers this philosophy about the ratio of labor to rest. 6 days of labor and 1 day of rest. For some, this may seem somewhat heavy on the labor side. Each of us must select the ratio that best reflects the reward we seek, remembering that with diminished labor comes diminished rewards. If we rest too long, the weeds will surely take over the garden. The erosion of our values begins immediately whenever we are at rest. That is why we must make rest a necessity, not an objective. Rest should only be a necessary pause in the process of preparing for an assault on the next objective and the next discipline. The punishment for excessive rest is mediocrity. Some of our friends would have us believe that positive affirmation is more important than activity. Rather than doing something constructive to change our lives, they would have us repeating various slogans to ourselves that affirm that all is well, such as every day and in every way I am getting better and better. We must remember that discipline is a requirement for progress, and that affirmations without discipline is the beginning of delusion. There is nothing wrong with affirmations, provided we remember two important rules. First, we should never allow an affirmation to replace action. Feeling better is no substitute for doing better. And second, whatever we affirm must be truth. If the truth of our circumstances is that we are broke, then the best affirmation would be to say, I am broke. That would start the thinking process. Spoken with conviction, these words would drive a reasonably prudent person from ease to action. If those whose lives are spinning out of control would confront the harsh reality of the truth and then discipline themselves to express the truth rather than disguising it in false and misleading pronouncements, positive change would inevitably result. Reality is always the best beginning. Within reality is the possibility of our own personal miracle. The power of faith starts with reality. If we can bring ourselves to state the truth about ourselves and our circumstances, then the truth will set us free. Once we finally understand and accept the truth, the promise of the future is then freed from the shackles of deception.